isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or to dis
That's why I
to, di-
said stem.
to disassemble something. Yeah. So what is the word class of pierced?
It's a verb.
Mm-hmm. And what is the function of ed?
The past of
So what is the kind of suffix that we have now?
Inflectional.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Good,
because
very good. You must be. Yes. Cause
it's a suffix that don't change the meaning of the word.
it does not change the meaning of the word. And another evidence is that verbs remain verbs. Okay, so very good. And how can't you make confusion between ed passive and ed preterite, simple past? What's the only way to know that? How do how did you affirm with such precision that this verb is in the simple past and not in the past participle? How did you decide that this verb is in the past and not in the participle? It is in the past, okay? You were right. But what's the only way to know that?
Because of the suffix, the ed.
But the ed is a suffix for past participle as well. Is it
I
possible
guess
to... Yes, yes, Mateus.
because there is no have or had in the expression, and not and also cause the it's related to the, how can I say, to the person who is active, not the one who is suffering the action.
Yes. Basically, what you were telling me is that you analyzed the sentence.
Yes.
You looked at the structure of the sentence, and according to position, according to the other elements surrounding the word, you made a decision that this word is in the simple past and not in the past participle. What I mean here is that although in morphology we have an illusion to analyze the words isolated, uh, we frequently need the help of the context. Okay, so words only mean when they are surrounded by other words. Okay, you are right. This is an inflectional suffix. And if it's inflectional, does it have a subtype? No, it's just inflectional. Okay, it's an inflectional. If I asked, but I didn't, you could say it's an inflectional for preterite. Okay, technically we call the simple past the preterite. Okay, just like we do in Portuguese, but it's not necessary here. Okay, it's an introductory exercise. You don't have to give me so much detail about this. Now let's go to number 4. Suddenly an explosion pierced the silence. And now we have the suffix "ens." Can you think of other words ending in "ens"?
Coincidence.
Coincidence. What else? Patience.
Penitence.
Penitence. What do all these words have in common? Silence, coincidence, penitence. Besides the suffix "ens", of course, what do they have in common?
it's noun.
They are all nouns. So the probability here is that you have a noun forming suffix. But let's check it, okay? The root is sil, sil. What other words can you form out of sil?
Silent.
Silent. Silent is the adjective Silence is the noun. Can you form other words out of SIL? Sil. Silence. Silently. Is it okay?
It is.
And how about silica? Do you think it's the same root or just a coincidence? Silica.
It's a coincidence.
It's a coincidence for sure.
I don't
Okay.
even know what word is this. I probably won't understand only with context. What does it mean?
Sorry, sorry.
What does silica mean?
Silica means sand. Sand, like the raw material for motherboards or memory chips. You see, it's a specific type of industrial sand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, how do you feel about item number 4? Is it an inflectional or a derivational suffix?
Derivational.
What kind of derivational?
A noun forming.
Yes. So let's abbreviate it. Derivational noun forming suffix. Okay. So now I'll give you 10 minutes to do the rest. Okay. From number 5 up to number 24, do the rest in 10 minutes. It's not difficult. Okay. Can I count on you? And then we check the answers after 10 minutes. It's now 8:04. When it's 8:14, we come back to check. As you finish, please raise your hands. I mean, in the software, of course. I'll make some coffee while you do that. Can I? I'm coffee fueled. For those who arrived a little bit later, this sheet of paper, this exercise is available in your Google Drive shared folder. Okay, it's class 3 exercises, right? I mean, class 3 is not really class 3; it's topic 3. Alguém já terminou? Tá tranquilo aí?
Tá, até agora eu só não entendi a quinta. Ali.
A quinta? Tá, a gente vai discutir, tranquilo.
Sim, eu
Que
acho
vocês
que
não
você
estiverem
tem.
conseguindo dar um, dar um skip, tá? Alguém vai sacar, sempre alguém vai sacar. Pode ir dando um skip, vai fazendo primeiro as fáceis. Não vale fazer nenhuma falar assim, ah, professor, essas aí são muito fáceis, põe outras mais difíceis. Two minutes. Let's go. So, the maid's persistent screams rang from the conservatory. Let's focus on number 5. Well, we have apostrophe S. According to your knowledge of English, what does apostrophe S mean? Depending on the case, it means something. Depending on the case, it means something else. And what is the case here?
It's
In this case, is possessive.
Yes, that morphologically and I mean syntactically, in fact, we call the genitive case, but we popularly know it and pedagogically we teach it as the possessive case. Now, let me ask you for a reflection. Does it change the meaning of the word made or does it just add extra information? When I have the maid was screaming, so I heard the maid's screams. Is the meaning of the word maid changed?
No,
No. So if there is no meaning change, it's most probably a case of
inflectional.
inflectional morpheme. Okay, and what is the function of this inflectional morpheme? Well, we learned that inflectional morphemes have basically a syntactic function, okay, a grammatical function. In this case, to indicate possession, to indicate the origin of the screams, okay? So it's a case of an inflectional morpheme, okay? Are you convinced of that? Anyone with a question about this? Would you like to ask? Of course, when we say the maids, we need a complement. The maids screams. So the referent is changed, but the word maid remains unchanged. Okay. This is just a grammatical information about the origin of the screams. Okay. So that's why it's inflectional. Now let's consider the word persistent. In the words, in the maids, persistent screams rang from the conservatory. Persistent, we have the suffix "ant." It's given. What other words can you think of with the suffix "ant"?
Intelligent.
Intelligent, consistent. What else?
Government.
Government, yes. Now consider the origin of all these shorter words. For example, uh, intelligent comes from what kind of root? It's Intel, isn't it? What is Intel? Please don't tell me it's the chip factory, okay? That makes Intel Core Dual processors. Intel means what? What other words can you form out of the root Intel? Intelligence, intelligible, isn't it? So just by changing the suffix, we change the meaning of the word, which is a good evidence that "ant" is what kind of suffix? Inflectional or derivational?
Derivation.
What kind of derivational suffix? Noun, verb, or adjective forming?
Adjective.
In this case, adjective forming. To know that, just look at the word class. Persistent is an adjective. If you compare with the other words you gave me as examples, like intelligent, intelligent is also an adjective. What other words did you mention? Consistent is also an adjective. Think of other words with and check. Ah, teacher, basement. Oh, yes, basement is not an adjective. Basement is a noun, but it's something that comes from the base. Okay. Anyway, this is a case in which an adjective was consecrated as a noun because of its use, but it's rare. Okay. We have other words such as uh, government is also a case of noun consecrated as a noun, but we have reminiscent or evident and so on. So it's an adjective. So what we have here is a derivational adjective forming suffix. And now let's look at number 7. The maid's persistent screams rang from the conservatory. This final S here, does it change the meaning of the word scream? Is there a changing meaning?
No, there's not.
Yeah. If I say telephone or telephones, the original word still makes reference to the same kind of object. What changes here is just the number. So when I just change the word for the purpose of number, gender, tense, what am I doing to the word? Am I deriving the word or inflecting the word?
Inflected.
Yes,
Spring,
an
inflection.
inflection. Okay, an inflection for number in this case. Finally, the conservatory. Well, you know that conservatory is a place where you learn something, basically music or any other type of art. Now, what other words can you derive out of conservate or maybe conserve?
Conservation.
Conservation, conservative. What else? The verb to conserve. Okay. If you have paid attention, I'm not going into the matter that con is a prefix. Okay. The same here for per, which is also a prefix from a Latin origin. And the same here, for example, in as we did in X as an explosion. We are dealing only with the suffixes, not with the prefixes, okay? So conservatory seems to you more as an inflection or as a derivation? This ori suffix. Can you think of other words that have ori?
Mandatory.
Mandatory, yes, which means something that you have to do. Yeah, that's part of your job or part of your duties. Mandatory, what word class is it? It's an adjective, isn't it? And let's think of other words with ori. Oratory, for instance. What is oratory? What is the meaning of oratory?
É oratório?
Yes, it's the ability to speak a public speech. Yeah, he has the power of oratory. Yeah. Now, mandatory is an adjective, but oratory, let me just check the pronunciation. Oratory. Oratory. Oratory is a noun. But sometimes oratory, no, it's also a noun. The place where you go to say a prayer. Yeah. Oratório. Yeah. Where you go to say a prayer. But in this case, in both cases, it's a noun. So we have a controversial role of the suffix ori. Sometimes it derives into nouns, sometimes it derives into adjectives. Now look at the context. What is the word conservatory for you? It's more for a noun or an adjective? Take a
It's
look
a
at it.
noun.
Yeah, according to its position, yeah, it came from somewhere. Yeah, the screams came, they rang from somewhere. They rang from the conservatory. Okay, so the place where you learn music, the place where you learn painting or something else. Okay, so it's a noun. And what should you say then about the suffix ore in this case of number 8? Inflectional or derivational?
Derivational.
What kind of suffix?
A noun forming suffix.
That's it. Okay. This is the kind of question that I may really would like to ask you in the exams. Okay. Like recognize suffixes, tell their function. Okay. Next sentence. The butler was running up the stairs when he stumbled over the prostrate body of his erstwhile employer, a reclusive industrialist. So let's start from running. The butler was running up the stairs. Tell me, what is the function of this suffix? What do you feel about it? Is it a derivational process like a verb becoming a noun, or is it a verb being conjugated?
It's a flexion.
It's an
Um,
inflection. It's a verb in the continuous tense, isn't it? What kind of verb tense is this? Let's see if you are trained. ING,
Past continuous.
it's past continuous. Why do we call it past continuous? It's easy. It's the past of be and the continuous of the main verb, the ing form of the main verb. Now, if it's verb conjugation, it's here to serve the purpose of grammar. So it is derivational, right? What do you think? It's derivational. Verb forming
No.
suffix? Of course not. Just joking you. What kind of suffix is it?
Flexion.
Inflection. Oops. Okay. What is the difference, teacher, between derivational verb forming suffix and inflectional? Well, a verb forming suffix will get some other word class and turn it into a verb. Want to see something similar? Like computer, okay? The noun computer. Now I have a physical document, a book, and I want to pass it to the computer. So let's create a neologism here, computerize. Now it's a verb forming suffix because it gets some other word class and turns it into a verb, okay? Or digital, digitalize, okay? So eyes is a verb forming suffix, but conjugations, endings of words that serve the purpose of verb tense are inflectional suffixes, okay? Which is the case of number 9, running. It does not change the meaning of the verb to run, okay? The reference is not changed. So the butler was running up the stairs when he stumbled over the prostrate body of his erstwhile employer. Prostrate. What does 8 mean here in number 10? What is the function of this suffix? Look up prostrate in the dictionary. What do you find? What is the word class for prostrate?
Is an adjective,
Which means
which means it's derivational.
yeah, it's derivational. What other words can you form out of prost? Prost. Prostrate can also be a verb. We have here in the dictionary prostrate, adjective, lying with the face down and arms stretched out, especially as a sign of respect or worship. Also prostrated could be prostrate or prostrated in this sense of adjective. But we have prostrate, verb, to lie with the face down and arms stretched out, the same, yeah? We have prostration as a noun. We can derive prostrate, prostration, which means the act or the state of being prostrate. So we should decide first, prostrate here is the adjective or the noun? The prostrate body. How do you know it's adjective and not noun? Or how do you know it's a noun and not an adjective?
Because it's tá especificando o body.
Yes, we have a prostrate something, a prostrate body. So what comes before is the adjective. That's right. So it's a derivational. Derivation.
Adjective
Adjective.
forming suffix.
Suffix. That's it. Perfect. So the prostrate body of his erstwhile employer. This is easy. Employer. What is the word class of employer?
I put inflectional
Inflectional. Can you explain why?
because it's one of the 8 inflectional morphemes for comparative words.
Mm,
But I
there is a logic. There is a logic.
I but I was not sure, so
Yeah, but you fall in a trap. I'm sorry to say that you have fallen in a trap. Why? We know that er is one of the 8 inflectional suffixes. For example, tall, taller, short, shorter, big, bigger. Yeah. But is it really the case? Employ, employer. Normally, we use this suffix as an inflectional suffix with adjectives. Now, take the case of employ. Is employ really an adjective? Is employer, in terms of word class, closer in meaning to teacher or to smarter? What do you think? If you had to determine the degree of the family degree, o grau de parentesco, né? Entre employer, você ia colocar ele mais perto de teacher ou de smarter?
teacher.
Yes. And teacher, we all know teacher is a noun. So we have to analyze the root. What is the meaning of the root employ? Go to your dictionary and search for employ, and you will find a verb that means to pay someone to work for you or to employ. It's like to use some method, employ a method to solve some problem. So an employer is what? The same way a teacher is someone who teaches, an employer is someone who employs. Now consider the case of this final ER. You that told me that you considered it inflectional. Have you changed your mind?
Yeah, I actually wasn't up on this one. I was
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah, you were tripped, and that's normal. That's normal. We get tripped sometimes, tricked. But right now, considering that employ is a verb, how do you feel about the suffix er in this case here in employer? What kind of suffix is it? Do you still think it's inflectional or derivational?
I think it's derivational.
Of what kind?
Uh, I guess a noun
Yes.
forming suffix.
As you can see, these exercises are not difficult. They require a lot of dedication, but they are not difficult. Okay, it's just look at the logics behind the sentence. Okay, you should analyze these words inside the sentence. Let's see another one. A reclusive industrialist. Now, according to the context, a reclusive industrialist. What is the word class of reclusive?
Adjective.
Yes, okay. Although when you go to the dictionary, reclusive, I'm not showing you the screen of the dictionary, but please believe me, okay? I'm reading it for you ipsis literis, okay? Reclusive can be an adjective, okay? So living alone and avoiding other people. Let me see if we have any other word class. No, we don't, okay? So that's easy for us. Reclusive, I thought we had reclusive as a noun, but we don't. So we know it from the dictionary that it's an adjective, but we can deduce it out of grammar because it's a reclusive person that happens to be an industrialist. Okay, so reclusive, I've, IVE here. Can you think of other words ending in IVE?
Destructive.
Sorry?
Conclusive.
Conclusive. What else? Mateo said something. I think it was Mateus. I
But I
didn't.
don't. I don't remember if that word exists. But destructive. But
Destructive. Yes, destructive. Destructive, conclusive, uh, reflexive. What's the word class of all of them? Adjective, conservative. What is the word class in all the if words?
Adjective.
Adjective. Yeah, the word adjective is an adjective. As oh, well, we consecrated it as a noun because it describes a word class, but adjective seems tells us that it's the quality of something. So it helps us to adjectify something. So it's adjective. Adjective is an adjective. So a reclusive industrialist is a derivational adjective forming suffix. This clear for you? And
Yes.
how, sorry, and how about ist? Industrialist. What other words can you think of that end in ist?
Minimalist.
Minimalist. What else? Those people who buy everything they see.
consummate.
Those people who go to the mall and almost consumerist. Consumerist. What else? And let me take note of this because this is important. Do you see a white document now?
No.
No? Uh, oh gosh. Sorry. Let me change the way I share this screen here. Okay, let's consider these words. Consumerist, minimalist. Ah, come on, I want it in English. And what else? What other words with ist can you think of?
Biologist,
Feminist, biologist, capitalist.
Scientist.
Uh, Let me change it for English. Language. Okay, scientist. Can you think of other words with ist?
Feminist.
Populist, feminist. So we have a problem with ist. Consumerist is what? A person who is a consumerist. Can I say she's a consumerist? Or do I have to say she's a consumerist woman?
The second option.
Originally, according to grammar, yes. but the term has been consecrated as a noun as well. So I can just say he's a consumerist. And because of the he, of course, I know I'm talking about a man. So it's originally an adjective, but use made us consecrate it as also a noun. It can be both. So the use of the word has been consecrated in a way that we do not need a complement for it. We can use it as a noun as well. Now, minimalist. When we use the word minimalist, we normally use it as what?
Noun.
Do you know what a minimalist is?
Usually is an adjective.
Yes, because we have a minimalist architect, we have minimalist art, we have minimalist decoration, so it's kind of diverse. We have to specify. Yeah. The tendency is that in the future, maybe it becomes a concept like communist. Do I have to specify what a communist is?
No,
Not necessarily. You get it, you grasp it from the context. He's a communist, or his ideology is communist, or uh, the candidate's platform is a communist platform. In this case, a communist platform, it's an adjective. But when I say he's a communist, it's a noun. So I think we have enough evidence here, like biologist. Is biologist an adjective or a noun?
a noun.
It's a noun. And what is the respective word that corresponds to an adjective concerning biology? When something is related to biology, when the quality of that thing is being related to biology, I say it's biological, isn't it? So, just missing here. So, what I mean here is that is sometimes a kind of suffix. Some other times it's another kind of suffix. It can be either adjective forming or noun forming. But for sure, being an adjective forming or noun forming, the important thing here is that it is always what? Inflectional or derivational?
Derivational.
Yes, it is derivational. Now let's analyze the specific case we have here. Industrialist. It's a derivational suffix because I derive industry into industrialist. If you prefer, I derive industrial. Industrial is an adjective into industrialist. Now, look at the word position in the sentence. Would you say it's a noun or an adjective?
A noun.
Yes. And to make this kind of decision, it's very important to look at the word position and what comes before. Before industrialist, we have the adjective reclusive. Now, what is the word class that can receive adjectives? Only nouns can be preceded by adjectives. Okay, so this is a derivational noun forming suffix because only nouns can be preceded by adjectives. Okay, add in adjective, this add means on the side, beside something, beside the noun. So only nouns can receive it. Well, I think that with this explanation, we we have grasped the difference between inflectional and derivational morphemes. Okay, so let's accelerate this. Let's go quickly. So quickly, he deduced that the man had been given a fatal dose of anesthetic Okay, given. What is the function of en here? Is it grammatical or is it to create new words?
Grammatical,
Oh,
I
So
guess.
if it's grammatical function,
grammatical.
what is the kind of function of this n? Given. He was given.
Is past particle?
Yes, perfect. Okay. So it's past participle or passive voice. So it's inflectional. Do you understand why? When it's related to verb conjugation, when it's related to verb adapting to serve grammatical purposes, in this case, passive voice, it's inflectional. Now, fatal. Think of other words ending in all.
Mortal.
Mortal. What else?
I'm not sure about the pronunciation of this word. Brutal. Brutal. I'm not sure.
Brutal. Yeah. Criminal. Again, we have a problem such as in ist. Sometimes it's an adjective. Sometimes it's a noun. For example, a criminal can be, he's a criminal. So he has committed a crime. He's a criminal. And in this case, it's a noun. But I can say, for example, that lawyer advocates in criminal area. And criminal now is adjective. Okay. In this case of fatal, what do you think fatal is? An adjective or a noun?
An adjective.
A fatal dose of anesthetic. So we have dose as a noun, and fatal is qualifying the noun. So what other words can you derive out of fate? F-A-T. Have you ever played Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Nunca. What is the final?
No, yeah,
What's the
I've played.
final? Yeah, fatality. Yeah, you may have
Yeah.
fatality, which derives from fatal, and fatality is a noun.
Yeah.
Okay, you can have fate. Yeah, fate meaning your kind of destination to something. Okay, so fatal is an adjective, and as we can derive other words out of the root fate, we can say it's a derivational. What kind of derivational morpheme? If it's an adjective,
Adjective.
adjective
Adjective.
forming
Form.
suffix. It does not mean that all, the suffix all, will always be an adjective forming suffix. Sometimes, depending on the word, it's a noun forming suffix. This is what I mean, okay? With all these expansions of the analysis. Anesthetic, a fatal dose of an anesthetic. What do you think of this ick suffix? Can you think of other words with ick? Alcoholic. Can you think of other words?
Logic.
Logic. And let's think of logic. Logic is an adjective. He has logic thinking. And when we want to have the noun, we have logical. But we have logics as the science with ICS, which in fact is an allomorph of ick. Let's think of the word alcoholic. Is alcoholic always an adjective? Or can we use alcoholic to designate someone who's addicted in alcohol? Is this correct? He's an alcoholic. Or do we need to complement? He's an alcoholic man. He's a workaholic. Have you ever heard the term workaholic? Someone who's addicted to work. We normally say just he or she is a workaholic. Look at the position of anesthetic in the sentence. Is it more for a verb, a noun, an adjective? What other word class? I don't know. Quickly, he deduced that the man had been given a fatal dose of an anesthetic. There is a hint here to tell you the word class. What word class is anesthetic? Can I count adjectives? Are adjectives countable? Example of adjective. Black. Black color is an adjective. Black or red. Can I say one red, two reds, three reds? Or do I have to say what is red? One red dress, two red dresses. Can I count adjectives? Can I put adjectives in the plural? Can I count them? Or they are uncountable?
It's uncountable. Only the nouns flexion in this case.
Yeah. Now look at the article an. What kind of idea does a or an give us? A teacher, a professional, an apple, an instrument. The idea that it's only one. And if I'm saying it's only one, it's because it's possible to be two or more. So an anesthetic here is being treated as countable. And everything that is countable is a, come on, if it's countable, it's a, now, do you agree? Do you agree or are you tired? Do you understand what I'm trying to argument here?
Okay, can you repeat, please?
Okay.
But teacher,
The kind of evidence that I'm trying to show you here, a evidência que eu estou tentando mostrar para vocês aqui é o seguinte, a palavra anesthetic, além da posição dela, né? Ó, he was given a fatal dose of an anesthetic, né? Dose of a something. Tudo que eu posso substituir por something é o quê? Em termos de classe gramatical.
Ainda não.
Esse é um jeito de descobrir. O outro é o artigo an anesthetic. Quando eu uso a ou an, eu estou descrevendo que há uma unidade. Ora, se há uma unidade, é porque é possível de haver uma pluralidade. A guitar, two guitars. An apple, two apples. Only nouns can receive articles before them. Só os substantivos podem ter artigos, definidos ou indefinidos. É uma outra evidência. O que eu estou tentando mostrar para vocês é que eu vou tratar a palavra anesthetic, apesar do sufixo ic, servir para designar alguns adjetivos, como workaholic, que foi consagrado como substantivo já, ou paranoid, né? Que é, no caso, um adjetivo. Ic pode ser usado para criar adjetivos e para criar substantivos. Neste caso, a sintaxe da frase toda me diz claramente, talvez não tão claramente assim, mas com algum grau de boa vontade na análise, a gente percebe que pela posição trata-se de um substantivo ou de um adjetivo? De um substantivo, né, gente? Por quê? Porque está precedido de um artigo, tá? Então,
Eu ia
sim, pode
perguntar
falar.
justamente isso, como seria artigo em inglês, porque eu tinha entendido o conceito, mas eu não sabia explicar.
Article.
Article.
Yes, indefinite article in this case. Sim, pode falar.
Quando a gente coloca um artigo na frente, né? Pelo menos é assim que sempre ensinam a gente, né? Sempre que coloca um artigo na frente, eu acabo substantivando a palavra. Então, no caso aqui, mesmo que seja uma característica ou um verbo, se eu colocar um artigo na frente, eu vou transformar ele num substantivo. Então, acho que fica mais fácil de identificar também. Né? Aí, como você
Perfeitamente.
falou, se torna contável, né? Já que eu consigo colocar o meu artigo na frente.
Uhum, perfeitamente, mas a gente vai ver uma contradição sobre isso já no próximo item, tá? Mas assim, sua lógica tá boa, né? Por quê? Porque não tem nenhum adjetivo precedendo aqui, né? Se não tem nenhum adjetivo precedendo, né? Tá direto o artigo e a palavra, então ela só pode ser um substantivo. É a mesma coisa, quando eu falo he's an alcoholic man, alcoholic é adjetivo. Mas quando eu omito a palavra man, he's an alcoholic. Foi consagrado o uso de alcoholic como substantivo para referir a pessoa viciada em álcool, né? A pessoa que tem dependência de álcool. O próximo exercício vai tratar justamente disso, o próximo item, 17. A fragile document was missing from the gigantic safe. Tá, vamos lá. Fragile. Sufixo ile. Vocês pensam em outras palavras? Com ile. Difícil, né? São poucas. Vamos analisar aqui. Tem artigo, né? Então a nossa tendência por aquela lógica seria qual? Considerar fragile como um substantivo. Mas depois de fragile tem o quê? Tem document. E document é o quê? Qual é o word class de
Não,
document?
não.
Vamos anotar já aqui no 18? Não. O que que agora pensa, qual é a função de fragile em relação a document?
It's a adjective.
It's an adjective. Então a regrinha de que toda vez que tem artigo vai ser noun, não é sempre válida, porque veja, aqui eu tenho uma sequência a fragile document. Nesse caso, a referência do artigo a é para document. A document. What kind of document? A fragile one, tá? Então tem que pensar sempre que assim, toda vez que eu tenho um substantivo precedido por uma palavra e essa palavra designa uma propriedade desse substantivo, ela é um adjetivo. Então, fragile é um adjective forming suffix. Well, qualquer coisa que seja um forming suffix é derivational, né? Ele forma alguma coisa porque ele deriva, né? Chega a ser redundante. Enquanto document é um noun, né? Então, fragile está qualificando document. Agora vamos pensar em palavras que terminam nesse sufixo ment. Document, what else do you have? Basement,
Payment.
payment. E o que todas elas são?
Government.
Government, very good. O que elas são?
Nouns.
Argument, noun. So we have a derivational noun forming suffix. Oops. Was missing from the gigantic safe. Gigantic safe. Gigantic. What does it mean? Let's go to the dictionary. Gigantic. Gigantic means something very big. A gigantic teddy bear, for instance. Percebam uma coisa. O substantivo é gigant ou giant? Qual é o substantivo correto? A giant. Mas quando ele vira adjetivo, ele ganha de volta, né, a parte da sua origem latina, né? O G de gigante, bem mais parecido com o nosso português, gigantic. Gigantic means very big. So if it means very big, it means it is
An adjective.
adjective. And ic is a derivational adjective forming suffix. Pessoal, mas safe, what is safe? Né? Essa palavra aqui, gigantic, está qualificando. A palavra safe, eu aprendi como keyword class. What's the word class of safe? We learned
It could
safe as
be,
not dangerous.
yeah, but in this case it's a noun.
In this case, it's a noun. And what does it mean as a noun? Safe as a noun means a strong metal box with locks where you keep money, jewelry, etc. Cofre, yeah? So it's the case here of safe, gigantic safe. Estamos terminando. He began to organize a reconnaissance to search for the fugitive. Organize, eyes, here is what? Organize. What other words can you form out of the root organ? Organize, organization,
Organization,
organ itself, yeah, your internal organs, they are all
organic,
organized. Organic.
organic,
So we have different suffixes deriving different word classes. Organic is an adjective. Organization is a noun. What else? Organical can also be an adjective. And organize is what? What's the word class of organize?
It's a verb. In
It's
this
a
case.
verb, and we have the evidence that it's a verb because it's preceded by the infinitive to organize. So it's a verb. So verbs are always inflected. It's true. Verbs are always inflected. What is the inflection of this verb? Is it in the present? Is it in the past? In the future? In the infinitive? He began to organize. Em que tempo verbal está isso aí? Se é verbo, está num tempo verbal algum. Qual?
The infinitive.
In the infinitive. Então ele está inflected? Sim ou não? Um verbo no infinitivo, ele tá ou não tá flexionado?
Eu achei que não era inflection porque consegui formar outras palavras com outras classes, como por exemplo organization, organization.
Achou muito bem. É isso mesmo. O meu raciocínio é justamente por que aqui ele não é inflectional. Ele tá flexionado aqui ou não? Ou ele tá na forma bruta? Quando a gente vai ensinar um verbo para o aluno, a gente não ensina o to be. Vou ensinar o to be para vocês, né? Sempre que tem o to, ele tá na forma bruta dele, na forma a gente fala raw form, né? Ou na base form, né? Então aqui é um caso em que o verbo não está flexionado. Então não se trata de inflection. Se trata de uma palavra ou de um stem, de um root, no caso, organ, que deriva em organization, que é substantivo, que deriva em organizational, que é adjetivo, que deriva em organize, que é verbo. E que se deriva, portanto, é um derivational. Derivational, verb forming, suffix. O nosso primeiro, que é verb forming. Reconnaissance. Oh my gosh. What is the meaning of reconnaissance? What is a reconnaissance process? Reconnaissance. Yes.
To investigate.
To investigate is the process of getting information about enemy forces or positions by sending out small groups of soldiers or by using aircraft. Okay, so you make a flight, we call it a reconnaissance flight, to recognize the environment, to identify. Reconnaissance is then what kind of word class? Reconnaissance. It's the name of a process. The process
It's
of
a
getting
noun.
information, it's a noun. It's the name of a process, it's a noun. Can you think of other nouns ending in ans?
Assurance.
Assurance, which is to make sure of. What else? Militance, yeah, which is the act of being part of a political or social ideology. What else? Resistance, the process of resisting, and so on, okay? And how about fugitive? If, as in reclusive. Let's look at reclusive. We have reclusive as a derivation of adjective forming suffix. Yeah. Do you think it's the same case as in fugitive?
It's not, because there's no other noun which this fugitive would refer to.
Yeah. So what is the meaning of fugitive in this context here? Is
Someone who has fled.
yeah, someone who has escaped, someone who has ran away. So fugitive here is the person itself, is a noun. So instead of an adjective forming suffix as in reclusive, because we have a reclusive industrialist, and we know we are talking about the industrialist, here the fugitive is the noun itself. So what we have is a derivational noun forming suffix. We are finishing. After that, he planned to interrogate the miscreant. Interrogate, 8. Think of other words ending in 8.
Demonstrate.
Demonstrate. What else? Investigate.
Implicate.
Implicate. And what all do these words have in common? They are all
Verbs.
verbs. So is this a case of inflection or derivation?
Derivation.
Derivation, because out of interrog, we can create interrogatory or interrogation and so on. Okay, so we have a derivational. What kind of suffix? Interrogate is a verb. Verb forming suffix. Derivational verb forming suffix. And miscreant. Interrogate the miscreant. What is the meaning of miscreant? Let's check the dictionary. Miscreant is someone who behaves badly or does not obey rules, similar to a criminal. So miscreant is what? Is it a verb, a noun, an adjective?
Now,
In this case, it's a noun. So what we have here is a derivation of noun forming suffix. But to prove that, I'd like you to identify other nouns that end in ant.
Militant.
militant,
Militant. Yes, militant. We have others that do not end in ant, but they have ant in between, like pedantic, for example, which has the suffix ant inside it, or nonchalant, which means someone that does not care about something. But in this case, it's an adjective. Nonchalant is an adjective. We have, I don't know. Can you think of other words? Arrogant.
Dominant.
Sorry.
Dominant.
Dominant. Very good. Okay, so that's all about derivation and inflection. We are finishing today. We are going to go back to this exercise list. So I'd like you to do number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, which the number 2 is to give the meaning of the highlighted suffix. So the meaning of or, the meaning of ear in phobia, the meaning of ein in canine. Teacher, but these are bound morphemes. We cannot give a meaning. Well, try to describe what the suffix means. For example, spectator is or means someone that spectates. Yeah, it's what I mean. For example, teacher, the one means the one who does the act of teaching, and so on. Okay, so you are going to gloss the meaning of the suffixes for me here, okay, in all these words. Finally, I want you to identify the prefixes. Now it's the prefixes, and determine if they are used spatially, temporally, or intensively. For example, preamble. Pre is what comes before. So is it space, time, or intensity? Tell me, okay? And we have others like hyperactive. We have hyper, okay? And finally, number 4, it's like use the morphemes from set 1. Yeah. Uh, analyze the words below as follows. Parse the words into morphemes. So you are going to split the words into morphemes and gloss each morpheme with a literal meaning. For example, inter, sacked, yawn. Inter means in the middle of. Sacked means piece or to break into pieces. And yawn means the process. So you are going to gloss intersection. The process of breaking into pieces. Okay? Something like this. Or the process of breaking into intermediate pieces, pieces in between, something the like. Okay, you are not going to gloss the word. You are going to gloss each morpheme. Inter means in between. Sect means to break, to cut. And yawn means the process of. Okay. You are going to do it. We are going to solve it together. Don't worry, but try to do by yourselves. Okay, so that we can have a good discussion on next class. Okay. Well, just a moment. Let me close these windows. So I think that's all for today. Como usual, eu estourei 5 minutos ou mais. Desculpem, tá? Mas é pra gente não ficar com o assunto quebrado, tá? Eu preferi terminar o exercício. Vejo vocês na quinta. Se ninguém tiver dúvida. Alguém tem? Alguém quer conversar? Tirar dúvida? Turma boa.
Só se esse arquivo está no Drive,
Tá no Drive. Tá.
Não achei. Você podia mandar de novo, por favor?
Mando sim. Deixa eu só pegar o link aqui. Só um minuto. Deixa eu abrir meu Drive. Morphossyntax. Copiar link. Tá aqui o arquivo, pessoal. Só vou pedir para vocês baixarem, tá? E resolverem na máquina de vocês, porque senão fica. Eu acho que vocês nem têm a permissão de editores, né? Então só vão conseguir editar se baixarem, tá? Ele tá aí no chat. E essa na verdade, é o link da pasta de vocês, que tá lá na descrição da disciplina no Siga. Se vocês entrarem na pasta, vão ver o arquivo exercícios aula 3. Tá bom? Mais
Tudo
alguma,
bem, obrigada,
mais
professor.
alguma questão, gente? Tudo bem? So,
Tudo.
have a nice end of morning, okay? And I see you on Thursday.
See you, teacher. Até a próxima.
Gente, bom trabalho aí com os exercícios.